No, it's not. But it is long. I mean,
okay.
if you remember from here, it makes up that entire section. But no, it's nowhere near as big as the thalamus. The thalamus is enormous.
Okay.
So, well, relatively speaking. Okay, so going slightly further back. Okay, now we do see some brainstem. Okay, and what's important on this picture, there are a couple of things that are important on this picture. So we start seeing a ventricle pop up over here, right? These are holes, so that would be what?
Posterior lateral ventricle.
Okay, so,
inferior.
right, so it's in the temporal lobe, so it's the inferior horn, right? Because this goes into the temporal
lobe. So if it's
lobe?
horizontal, is that when you do anterior and posterior, and when you're doing a coronal section, then you're going to use...
Right, because if you're, I mean, you can see a posterior horn, but you'd have to do a really far back section.
Okay.
And we have one that looks like that, and it'll just look like a really big hole. Okay?
Okay.
But if you're doing frontal sections, and we're at the very front of the brainstem, that'd be somewhere probably around here. So you're going to see the body and then the inferior horn. Okay? So if it's in the temporal lobe, it's always the inferior horn. That's the only horn that goes there. Okay? So you have the inferior horn, and the other things to see right here is you have the thalamic nuclei. And if you look really close, and I might have to come bring it to you, there are different colors, slightly different shades of it, and so you can tell which nuclei are which. Okay? So I'm going to go to this half, and then I'm going to come and show you guys. Okay? So there are 3 nuclear groups that you can see here. There's the one that's really medial, right next to the third ventricle. It's the darker one. That would be the dorsomedial. Surrounding it, much lighter right here, those are the ventrolateral. Okay? And there's a tiny white line or strip in between them, and that is one of the separating lines. That's how you know which one you're looking at, okay? And why this is called ventral and this is dorsal is because it kind of curves around underneath. So you have the ventrolateral like this, and this one's the dorsomedial. So they're not just side by side. One really is slightly ventral to the other one. Okay? And then there's a tiny ball right here, okay? It's dark brown-ish. And this would be the very back portion of the anterior nuclei, okay? So
what was that?
This would be the very back portion of the anterior nuclei, right? You have the anterior nuclei, and then the other 2 groups start coming in, but that top one still has like a little tail sticking into where the others began. So you can see those 3 here. And what else? I promise I'll come over there. And what else is really, really important is you see something that kind of looks like a dragonfly wings, right? So you have these really dark black wings, and then you have these really light gray wings, okay? Really important, this is the only slide that shows all of these wings. So the black wings are the substantia nigra, okay? And so that's a collection of dopaminergic neurons, really, really important for fine motor movement. If you lose these guys, you end up with Parkinson's. Right above that, the gray wings, that's the subthalamus. This is the only slide we have of the subthalamus. This will probably be on the test, okay? So the gray wings are the subthalamus, okay? So you've got 3 groups of thalamic nuclei here. You have substantia nigra, you have the subthalamus, inferior horn of the lateral ventricle. This is the third ventricle, and this right here is the cerebral aqueduct, not the 4th ventricle. That would be like way down here, and more posterior. Okay?
Can you see the venular?
Not on here. Okay, this half of the table. So anyone who hasn't seen it. Okay, so what we have here is we have 3 thalamic